WhatsApp is urging users to update the popular messaging app immediately. The company says a sophisticated group of hackers took advantage of a flaw in a prior version of the app. That means a missed phone call allowed the group to inject malicious spyware, then remotely access the device without the users knowing. It affected both iPhone and Android devices. Mike Baker is founder of a private security firm and a former CIA operative. Mike, welcome to our program. First of all, explain to us how something like this happened.
Well, look, hackers, whether they're state-sponsored, whether they're anarchists, whether they're organized groups doing it for profit, they're always doing the same thing. They're always looking for vulnerabilities in existing applications, and they're looking to essentially beat the clock, rush in there, take advantage of an opening before the manufacturer, the company that's responsible for that app, can identify the flaw. So that is always going on behind the radar screen. People don't think about it. And the problem with WhatsApp is that it's so widespread. You've got well over 1.5 billion daily users at this point. Its growth has been fairly phenomenal. And it's used for everything from text messaging to sending media, photos, videos, other data. So it's out there, it's very widespread, and it's supposedly one of its attractions was this end-to-end encryption. So it's secure. Well, what's happened is that a group, right now identified as this Israeli firm, although that needs to be confirmed, NSO group, created this ability, this malware, that simply by calling, using the WhatsApp calling system within their communications protocols, that itself, whether you answered that call or not, that itself was sufficient then to lay in this malware onto your device, and that would then allow them to do everything from track your location, to read your messages, your private, supposedly secure encrypted messages, to turning your camera on, turning your microphone on. So an extremely effective surveillance tool.
Is it your sense that they were just targeting people randomly, or they knew they were trying to basically, get in their phones and look at all their pictures and messages? Was this just a random kind of thing?
Well, I think it's important at the outset. That's a very good question. I think it's probably the first question that a lot of people are asking right now. But I think it's important to note that this firm that's been identified, this Israeli firm, NSO Group, they develop surveillance tools. They develop software. And that software, surveillance tools, according to NSO Group, and certainly in view of how they've behaved in the past, is used by foreign governments, other countries, by their law enforcement to do everything from tracking organized criminal activity to suspected terrorist cells. So they're saying, look, they're not denying, or they're not confirming, but they're not denying that they created this surveillance tool that's now impacted up to dozens of WhatsApp users. But they're saying that they by no means are responsible for laying it out there, for using it to target specific individuals or specific groups.
So, Mike, if I have WhatsApp on my iPhone, how do I know whether I was one of the people targeted or not?
Well, you may well not. Look, in general terms, I don't want to oversimplify, but when you're talking about malware, when you're talking about a cyber attack, whether it's on a corporation or a small firm or a human rights group, whatever, typically, over the recent past, it takes sometimes anywhere between 300 and 400 days for those users to understand that they've been impacted, they've been infected. It can be that long. Now, if you're a WhatsApp user that has been infected, one of the clues would be that you would be receiving a WhatsApp call, a call through that WhatsApp system on your phone, on your smartphone, whether it's an iPhone or an Android, whatever it may be, and you may not recognize the caller. So much like the advice always given to people using email, don't click on an unknown link, a common sense good use of your phone is not to just accept random calls from numbers you don't recognize or are listing themselves as unknown. Now the problem is, again, this sophisticated tool, it doesn't matter whether you picked up this phone or not.
All right, we'll leave it there. Mike Baker, thank you, and thank you for the tips.